And that is why Aisha radiallahu anha used to say, "Man haddathakum anna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam kana yabulu qa'iman fala tusaddiquhu ma kana yabulu illa qa'idan." If someone tells you that it was his habit to urinate standing, don't believe them. It was only his habit to urinate sitting down. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu says in Tirmidhi's hadith, I climbed on the roof of my sister Hafsa's house for some reason, and my gaze fell on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was sitting on two bricks and he was urinating, and sitting down while urinating, he was facing Baytul Maqdis. So Abdullah saw him sitting down while urinating. Abdur Rahman ibn Shurahbil ibn Hasanah says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came out with a shield in his hand. And he went at a distance. He placed the shield and he sat in front of him, in front of the shield, doing parda and covering himself, and he urinated. Someone passed by and he made a remark that, look at Muhammad, he is urinating like women. Women sit down to urinate. We, the people of Arabs, we should stand up and urinate. We are men, we shouldn't act like women. So this was their habit, the people of Jahiliyyah. And this is the sunnah of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And when you go into the detail of that hadith commentary, Shurrah will tell you that Rasulullah only did that for some reason. There was no place to sit down. The area was dirty. If he would have sat down, his clothes would have got dirty. He had some pain in his knees. He had some pain in his back, because he was sitting in one session for a long period, and he had suddenly rushed towards urinating, so that he didn't get the time to sit down. That's why he urinated while standing. So there was some reason behind that. It was not the habit of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to urinate while standing. So Shaykh Nuh says, when I went into this detail, I realized my mistake, that I was not following the hadith, I was following my desire. I was following what I like, not what hadith says. So this is what happens when you tell the layman to go out there to pick and choose. And this is what's happening in the Arab world. You go there, they know a little bit of Arabic. Over here you don't even know Arabic. You rely on translations. And translations can be so misleading. One word in the translation can change the meaning of the whole hadith. And these translations by Mohsin Khan of Quran and of Sahih al-Bukhari, real bad translations. No worse translation than their Mohsin Khan's translation. And you go over there, you see the translation of قَالَ إِنَّهُ يَقُولُ إِنَّهَا بَقَرَةٌ لَا فَارِضٌ وَلَا بِكُرٌ عَوَانٌ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ فَفَعَلُوا مَا تُؤْمَرُونَ. He won't translate that. He will only say a mafhum, a meaning of the ayah. Exact words translation is not there. You will notice all these mistakes. While I was teaching Tarjuma Quran in Zakaria Masjid, I was going through and I realized many mistakes in the translation. So translations can be so misleading. They put in brackets, they put their own meanings, that this according to their aqidah and their belief. So they are changing the Quran for their own aqidah and their belief. So translations can be very misleading. You are relying merely on translations, and you are prone to making major mistakes. Even the Arabs who know the Quran and the Hadith, they understand the language, but they are playing around with the Quran and Hadith. They mess around with the Hadith. They do whatever they want to. I mentioned this incident somewhere, that last year while we were in Hajj, some of my friends went to drink camel's milk. So when they came back, they told me that, Maulana Sahib, we noticed something ajeeb there. This Arab came and he took a jug of camel's milk and he asked for some urine of the camel. And he mixed the urine in the milk, and then he drank that, and he said, it's in the Sahih Bukhari's hadith. And it says that is very good for your stomach. So the Sahih Bukhari's hadith was for particular reason, for some medical reason, for some special people. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them that you have fallen ill over here in Medina, your bellies have swelled, your color has turned yellow and pale, and your cure is in this, go drink that for a few days. And they drank and they were cured. So that was for a particular reason. So if a doctor says that for medical reason you can take this medicine even though it's haram, but you have to take it, you are allowed to take it. The insulin, there is segments in there, but the diabetic have to take the insulin. The ulama fuqaha say yes, it's allowed. If the doctor says you can't do without it, take it. So medicine when needed it's allowed, but you can't take it for sure and your desire just because it's in the hadith of Sahih Bukhari. So this is what happens when you pick and choose from the ahadith. That is why we say, with regards to these detailed masail, it's delicate masail, you have to have in-depth study. You don't have the time to study. You go 9 till 5, you go to work, you go to your businesses. You don't have the time to go into the roots of Quran and Hadith. How can you just pick up any translation, look in there and act upon it? No, this is playing around with the deen and the mazhab. You can't play around, you don't have to follow a mazhab. You have to follow a mazhab. It's wajib to follow a mazhab. Upon that is the ijma' of the whole ummah. The ijma' of the whole ummah. Now, we can go into detail with regards to how these mazahib were formed. We don't have time for that. None of these imams came in the same era. They never sat down on a table and made up these masails and say, follow me. No, they are all in their own times, in their places. Abu Hanifa rahmatullah is in Kufa. Imam Malik rahmatullah is in Medina Munawwara. Imam Shafi rahmatullah born in Asqalan, in Palestine. In Gaza, in Palestine. And his family migrated to Makkah when he was a child. And he was brought up in Makkah Mukarramah. Then at the age of 14, he had become a hafiz. He had become a hafiz of Quran, hafiz of Muwatta. He had become a mufti, and he was giving out fatwas in Makkah Mukarramah. The elders used to sit in his lectures. Once Imam Shafi rahmatullah was delivering a lecture while he was a young boy. A bird came flying and sat near him. So he took off his topi and covered the bird with the topi. So someone said, "As-sabiyyu sabiyyun wa in kana ibn nabiyyin." A child is a child, even if he was the son of a nabi. So Shafi, even though he is such a big man, he should behave in front of everyone. He was playing with the bird. So at the so young age, he was a mufti. Then he traveled to Medina Munawwara. He stayed with Imam Malik rahmatullah. He learned from there. He traveled to Kufa, learned from Imam Muhammad ibn Hassan, to Baghdad, from other asatiza. Then finally he settled down in Egypt, in Misr. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal was in Baghdad. There were other imams of the time as well. Abu Thawr and Naqai's mazhab was there as well. Awza'i's mazhab was there as well. And Abu Thawr as well. And others as well. So many mazahib. What is these mazahib? People don't have the time, not even in that day as well. Even in the time of Sahaba as well. Not everybody used to go around looking in the hadith and what the hadith says. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu was a figurehead. People used to go and ask him, and whatever fatwa he would go, they would trust him and they would act accordingly. Abdullah ibn Umar was the leader in Makkah, in Medina Munawwara. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu was the figurehead in Kufa. And people used to go and ask. He never used to narrate a hadith that Rasulullah said this, Rasulullah said that. He would very rarely say, Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He would be really scared of saying some hadith on Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and maybe making some mistake of making word here and there. Amr ibn Maymun says, I stayed in the company of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud for 1 whole year. I never heard him say, Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He would always give answer to reply. He would have a dars once every week, every Friday. And people enjoyed his dars. He would give fatwas, ruling, he would give answer to questions. People said that, why don't you give us lecture more? And teach us more. And he said, Kana Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam yatakhawwaluna bil maw'izati makhafata as-sa'amati alayna. That Rasulullah was very moderate with us. He would not always keep us busy in learning. He would think about us, our life, and he would be moderate in teaching us. So I want you to stay that way. I don't want to make you fed up with my teachings. I want to keep that shauq and zeal inside you. That's why I only teach once a week. So Amr ibn Maymun says, for 1 year I never heard him say Qala Rasulullah. He would just give fatwas. People would come ask and he would give fatwas. Someone once asked him, Oh Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, this lady was married to this person. Nikah was done. Mahr was not fixed. Consummation was not done. Rukhsati was not done. And the person died. So, will she be given the mahr? And will she be given from the miras? And does she have to sit in iddat as well? The waiting period? So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, give me some time to think. I don't have any hadith for this at the moment. I will think carefully and give you the reply later on. Later on, after some days, he called the person and he gave the reply and he said, لَهَا الْمَهْرُ وَلَهَا الْمِيرَاسِ وَعَلَيْهَا الْعِدَّةِ لَا وَكَسَ فِيهَا وَلَا شَطَطْ. She will have the mahr, there will be no reduction or increase in the mahr, mahrul miras, mahrul mithl. The mahr of mithl, this needs explanation, mahr mithl. So she will have mahr mithl, and she will have miras, and she will have to sit in the iddat as well, even though only verbal nikah was done, and she had never come to the husband's house. So he gave the ruling that this is what I understand from Quran and Hadith. And someone stood up from behind, and he said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, 1 minute. You know something, I have a hadith with regards to this. Birwa bint Washiq was in a similar problem, and her